Stacy Afonso has been a partner to a scallop fisherman out of New Bedford, Massachusetts for over 11 years. And what sticks out about this interview is the warmth and love she brings to her fishermen and this challenging lifestyle. Can't wait for you to hear it. As a bonus, you can connect with Stacy through our private forum. Just go to meganwaldrop.com/private-forum to connect with Stacy and other POCFs like you. Now, let's go meet Stacy. I'm Megan, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. This show is dedicated to girlfriends, fiancés, and wives of commercial fishermen to connect and feel less alone. As we know, this lifestyle isn't for the faint of heart. So this is our space in the world to discuss the highs and lows of being in a romantic relationship with a fisherman. Because it's different than being a family member or friend. It just is. Join in to laugh, vent, and share stories with others who get your lifestyle. So what are you waiting for? Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to another POCF podcast where we cover all things partners of commercial fishermen. And I am so honored and excited today to be speaking with Stacy Afonso from Massachusetts. And we actually, to give a little background, Stacy and I got to meet at a coffee shop in New Bedford, Massachusetts, about a week or 1 to 2 weeks ago. And it was just such an amazing time for me not only to get to know Stacy, but for us to just, feel like that sisterhood that nobody else can understand. We speak the same language that you all understand if you're listening to this podcast, because our life is so unique and adventurous in their own ways. So yes, Stacy, thank you so much for your time and thank you for being here. And yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's start off and please share and tell us where you're from. And what a little bit about you?
Hi, I live in Westport, Massachusetts. Grew up in New Bedford. I'm married to my scalloper. We've been together for 11 years, married for 8. I have a son from a previous relationship that he helps me with. He's an awesome stepdad.
That's wonderful. I love that. And I would love to know how did y'all meet and what made you think, oh, this guy, this is my man.
Well, I was out for drinks at a VFW in Haven, which is also like near New Bedford, and just with friends having a good time. And he ended up walking in to visit the bartender, which is a mutual friend as well. And I was just like, "Ooh, girl, your friend's cute." And then we started talking. I'm not gonna lie, his accent got me. And his eyes, and I don't know, we just met. He was just like a really nice guy, and I was very interested in, he wasn't born in this country, so I was just interested in the things he would do, and I don't know, it just went from there.
Where was he from? Where's he from originally?
He was born in Portugal.
Oh, nice. That's wonderful. Oh, nice. I love that. And so could you tell us more about where does he fish, his fishery, and all that good stuff?
He's a scalloper. He has worked in other fisheries. I believe he started out like gillnet, and he's been doing it since I think 2002. He worked on a clam boat for a little bit. He has worked on a squid production boat out of Point Judith. And right now he's scalloping. He's with a company from Cape May, New Jersey. He fishes off of 2 boats, the Tenacious and the Jersey Girl. He's the first mate right now. Another thing, he's been first mate, he's been deckhand. So he's comfortable with the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel when he switches between those roles, or when he switched between those roles, is there less, worry or anxiety on your end? Like, does it vary from different position to position?
Good question. Actually, that's funny because it does make a difference when you're mate, you have a lot more to worry about. And when you're deckhand, sometimes he just likes to be a deckhand where you can just, produce and that's it. Go to sleep, wake up, produce, and that's it. Whereas first mate, you're in charge of your watch and all the bags and keeping the guys together and all that fun stuff.
Interesting. So first mate's kind of like the manager of the boat, like making sure everybody's doing their thing.
You're basically the captain while the captain's off his watch. You have to watch the wheelhouse, you have to run the wench and the dredge and, direct the guys. And my husband also cuts. while he's doing all this. He doesn't just run from the whales, he also cuts.
That's so interesting because my husband, Chris, who does spiny lobster and then Bristol Bay sockeye salmon, he's worked on smaller boats where there's either one captain and like for him, he's like the captain and the deckhand in California for the lobster, or he's a deckhand in Bristol Bay. So I've never heard of this first mate position before. So thank you for enlightening me. I had no idea that was. Yeah. So the boat, how big is the boat? Did you mention that before?
I don't know the footage. It's a pretty big boat, your standard scalloping size boat.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And they're like has the tall, I guess it's so, yeah, I'm sorry. Could you please explain to me exactly how they collect the scallops?
Of course, they use a dredge, which is like metal links, kind of like a big metal net that they dip off the side of the boat into the ocean, and it drags behind, and then they pick it up and they dump it on deck. I can show you a picture of all the scallops on deck.
Absolutely. And while she gets that picture, it reminds me, I'm wondering if many of the boats that we saw, oh, I see it. She's showing a picture of just it looks like an ocean seabed, like what do you call it? Like a sand dunes, if you will, of scallops. It's amazing. Actually, I'm going to take a picture so we can show it in the show notes. Maybe I can even do that. Let's see if that works. Ta-da! I love this. Wonderful. So, okay, thank you for explaining that because it's so many different fisheries. There's so many different ways to catch the same type of seafood, if you will. And so, yeah, because Chris's spiny lobster boat was a scallop boat too in Cape Cod, and it's a 32 smaller and way smaller than the boats that I saw in New Bedford because those were like skyscrapers to me. They were ginormous. Amazing to see those. It reminded me a lot of boats I've seen in Washington, Bellingham, and things like that. But I was also wondering about, the relationship, as we all know, is one of the wonderful and also can be a very stressful component of being a partner of commercial fishermen. So wondering what is the longest time you've been apart and what's the shortest time that you've been apart?
One season it was after scalloping, and the boat had licenses for like dragging for fish quota. So he was gone. We lived in Fairhaven, Massachusetts at the time, and he had to go down to Cape May, which brought them to like North Carolina, Virginia, depending on what licenses were active at the time to catch the quota. So I think he was gone for about 2 months, and that sucked. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. Well, how did you get through that? What were some things that were helpful for you?
It was very stressful. I smoked a ton of cigarettes, drank a ton of coffee. I did have a full-time job at the time, and my son was young. I think he was about like 7 years old, so 7 or 8 years old. So, I just kept up with that, like taking care of things at home while he was gone. But it wasn't fun. I don't like that. I don't like it almost feels like he's living in a different state. Like, I don't like that. It's not for me.
And then were y'all able to communicate, and how were you able to do that?
Yep. We were able to communicate when he was on land. He'd call me. He's not one to call me from the boat at all, even if there's a reception. That's just him. He's never been like that in all the 11 years. So, he talks to me when he's on land, but it's hard. Like we do trust each other, but you're lonely, you're away, you're out with your friends. It's like, there's always like, oh my God, is he going to meet someone? Like, it's just that. And I'm sure he worried the same thing about me. But just that, I mean, it helps to have a lot of trust in each other and communicate. If something's wrong, let them know. Like, it does bring stress, but guess what? You better to hash it out then than assume things, and it drives your mind crazy.
That's for sure. Was there a certain year that there was like that trust became more solidified in your relationship? Like how far into the relationship were you like, oh no, this is not a concern for me anymore?
Like when everything, I'd say, gosh, maybe like 2017, I believe. He was more local. He didn't have to go out of state so much. He just wasn't with the same company and on the same boats. So I guess then I didn't have those worries anymore, which it's really stressful on him too, because can you imagine always, what are you doing? It's just very hard on both.
Yeah, I get that. And I know a lot of POCFs totally understand that feeling. And it seems funny to people outside the industry to think, well, they're on a boat. Like, what are you worried about? It's like, well, no, there's like a million other scenarios that we could deep dive into. Which is why, one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves are pulling ourselves out of that hole by focusing on, like what you did, your son, your life, going out with your friends, like focusing on your life as much as possible, because otherwise those made up stories just, they can drag you down.
Oh, my mind is very creative.
I know, as women, we have very creative minds as well. So one of our best strengths, and can be such a weakness too. But we are strong no matter what. I will add that. So I was wondering, in what ways, because when we met for coffee, what really stood out for me was the love that you have for your fisherman and your son. I mean, you're such a loving, kind soul, and it just radiates from you. And I just really took inspiration from that, just how much you love your men and you love your man, and I would love to know, what ways do you support your fisherman when he is home, and maybe ways that you're able to support him when he's gone, if that's a thing.
Okay, so when he's home, I joked with you, he's King Manny when he's home. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wait on him and my son hand and foot. They want anything, I get it for them. That's just me. I like to take care of my dog the same way. When he's home, I just try to make it peaceful, like come home to recharge and rest, because it's stressful. Like, we complain about being alone, but they're away from their house and their family and their comforts, living on a boat, working all night, working all day. It's not comfortable for them either. So when he comes home, I just try to make it the best for him to recharge, just relax, and let him know we're happy to see him and we missed him.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And then when he's away, what are ways that you're able to support or take care of the home base, if you will?
Well, I hide love notes and, like, oh, have a good day, I love you. Like, I'll hide on sticky notes, I'll hide it in his clothes when I fold them. I send snacks or drinks with them, especially in the summer. He'll keep a cooler on deck. So I just, get him some drinks or whatever, just something, candy, snacks, whatever, just little comforts from home.
Absolutely. And I know they cherish that. I remember in Bristol Bay, Chris I'd tell him, I'd send you cookies, but they might be stale. It'll be like a week or so. He's like, I don't care. It's like gold. Anything from home is the golden chalice of life. It's so lovely. But I love the love notes. That is really sweet and special. I bet he just loved those. And so I would love to know, in what ways do you find support from your fishermen?
He is, I have to say, like, I know it sounds corny, but like, sometimes I think maybe because of the distance with the job, we still feel like newlyweds in a way. Like, we get along really good. We have friends, we joke around with each other, like, we make jokes, and we just get along so good. And we always tell each other we love each other. If there's an argument, we've like never like screamed at each other, or like, F you or you're an asshole. Like, we never talk to each other like that. And we just communicate. If something's wrong, hey, it's uncomfortable, we talk it out. And he is so supportive with my son. Like I said, it's not his son, it's from a previous relationship. And he treats my son like his own, like everything. He supports him. And the point I knew that he was a good one and that he's got my back, I want to say maybe like 2016, I was suffering from ocular migraines. I didn't know. They can do some of the same symptoms as a stroke. So I had to go to the hospital. That man stayed in the hospital with me for 3 nights in the chair, like stayed there with me, like when he could come home to his house and just relax in bed. I mean, especially with his job being away. No, he stayed in the hospital. Now, my previous relationship, I wasn't in the state. I had no family. And my son's father, like, he didn't even stay at the hospital with me. Like, he went home. I was alone. So I just, he cares. He really loves me. And I felt that. And I never forget that. And I tell him all the time.
That's beautiful. I mean, the mutual respect that y'all share is just such a inspiring part of your relationship. I love that. And so also wondering, let's get down to the deep and dirty of it. What challenges do you face as a partner of a commercial fisherman?
Just I think the same as some of the others. Like, it's not easy. Like, you miss them, and if something happens while they're gone, it's like you have to handle it. Something with the kids, especially if something happens with a family member, any situation, there's a problem with the house or the car, like, he's my support system. He's like my best friend. So one, I don't have my best friend, Or, even just I have to make a big decision and he's not here and I can't get in touch with him. So just like that, financial is always a thing because you never know like what the price for the scallops are going to be, if he's going to make a trip, like things come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of segmenting or segueing to what kind of challenges are you seeing in the fishery and or kind of regulations or environmental, like what kind of things are you guys seeing in your coast?
So right now, like we have the wind farms becoming popular. The Port of New Bedford is actually like a staging site for them. So they're around us on the coast. They're putting the wind farms, and it's destroying sea life, and it makes it harder for the boaters where they use a dredge that scrapes the bottom for the scallops. So they have to be careful now not to disturb the lines or the turbines. And so that means less area for them. So there's going to be probably more traffic in one area that there wasn't. Now, that's kind of hard if, you can't be in the wheelhouse all the time if you're trying to cut and watch the wheel and run back and forth. Like it just creates like a safety issue kind of, and it changes the areas that you can fish in. I think that it definitely, our area, like we have less days that we can be out to sea to fish for scalloping. So, I mean, it all affects each other.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And what's some of your favorite parts about being a partner of a commercial fisherman?
I just think it's cool. I'm very interested in his job. I love to go down to the docks, watch them unload. I've been to the fish house, the auction in New Bedford, watch them unload. It's just me. I'm just so happy to see him. I like to go there, hang out, and I like to get on the boat and just, see what it's about, see what he does. I'm interested in it. I think it's peaceful to be by the docks and listen to the birds, and I like it. I just think it's cool. I respect it that they work so hard. I don't think some people realize it.
Absolutely. Okay. And then I had a question that I meant to ask earlier. When you say he cuts, what does that mean? That he's
Like they get the scallops, they have to open the shell and cut the scallop meat out. So, everybody cuts into a basket to make the bags. And just that's what I mean. Like you have to bring the scallops on deck, with that. And then he doesn't just run the boat and do that. He also cuts some baskets in between, like while they're towing.
Thank you for explaining.
No problem. I'm sorry. I know I talk fast and I go on.
No, you're doing great. It's just so there's always such interesting information to learn about all these different fisheries.
Yes, I love that.
And so, what advice would you give to any of the moms out there that are partners of commercial fishermen?
I think that I would definitely get into our little community, Partners of Commercial Fishermen. I'm telling you, I wish I had this when I was first starting out because I had one other friend, a good friend, that her husband was in the same industry. And it's hard. You start thinking things and like, you might tell one of your friends and they're like, oh, what are you upset about? He's gone. You get the house to yourself. You're free. And no, it's not like that. Like you miss them. And I mean, they may be sick of their husband or boyfriend or whatever, and they're like, oh, you got the best of it. No, it's just good to relate, someone who can relate to your problems. And raising kids without your partner, it is hard. Like, you set down some ground rules, you have the house running a certain way, and then your fisherman comes home and mom said no honey, just let him do it, and it's like, no, I said no. And it can be disturbing, but I think our community is awesome. I'm so glad that you started this. It helps, and to be able to connect with other women, even if it's just, hey, do you ever go through this, or he did this, what would you do? Like, it helps.
Thank you so much for saying that. That really means a lot. And the fact that I would never have in a million years thought that it would turn into something as beautiful as it is right now. And it's thanks to members like you, Stacy, who are active. And if you guys, on a side note, want to interact with Stacy, she's in our POCF forum that we have on meganwaldrop.com. We can chat it up there. So I wanted to do that plug because it's so great to see you pop up on there every time. And then, okay, here's a good one too. What advice would you give to any newbies? Would it be any other advice that you have out there for someone who's just getting into this lifestyle?
definitely visit the forum, follow you on Instagram, all that. Reach out to people that are near you, even far away. It's always good to have support, especially if you're new to it, because it can be frustrating. It could be scary, like, oh, why didn't he call me? Or what is he doing? Is he okay? It's just, I think this community is great for that. And communicate. If you don't like something, tell him. He doesn't like something, he tells you. It's helpful, and just try to be supportive because it's not easy for any of us.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any other points you'd like to touch on?
No, just thank you for having me. I was really nervous. I hope everybody enjoys it and gets some info, and reach out to me if you need anything.
Yeah, Stacy is amazing and such amazing support. And we appreciate you so much. And thank you for being on this episode of the podcast. And I'm thrilled that we have other members out there, maybe new to our group or have been a part of it for a while, to get a chance to get to know you more. And that's what this is all about. We are not alone. Bottom line.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a great time, and we'll talk soon.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to connect with more POCFs just like you, join the private forum at meganwaldrop.com/private-forum. Or even better, if you want to hang out in real life, there's an all-inclusive POCF retreat happening this fall 2023. Visit meganwaldrop.com/retreat-2023. And you can find both links in the show notes. We would love to meet you.
Hey y'all, I so appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. To support our community, I'd love for you to join us by subscribing to this podcast, hitting the like button, and/or posting a review. And if you're a POCF looking for more resources on how to navigate this unique lifestyle, things from long-distance dating to motherhood advice and everything in between, visit meganwaldrop.com. That's meganwaldrep.com. We can't wait to connect with you. Thanks for listening today. Being here means you're a part of the POCF family, and we wouldn't be a community without you. I'm Megan, and this is the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. As always, much love, POCF pride, and remember, you are not alone.